Places have changed, faces have aged. Memories are starting to fade, one day at a time. Remember, I'm here with you. You're trying so hard just to keep up. Every day's a chance to restart. I'll still be here, trying to pull you through. Every word that's forgotten, every note left unsung. Trust in me, just hold my hand and take me with you. Bring me into a world no one else can walk through. Hold my hand, 'cause I'm still with you. Love teaches hope, let love teaches joy. Enable the ones who are frozen in time. Imagine our hearts choosing to shine on a journey that's yours and mine. Yours and mine. Hold my hand and take me with you. Bring me into a world no one else can walk through. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. 'Cause I'm still with you.
When I was young, you held me near. Storms would pass and I never fear. Your smile and kisses I'd hold so dear helped me to be strong. Remember places we've explored, sights and sounds above us all. Memories you don't recall are those I've not forgot. When we cannot see, doesn't mean we'll get lost. When we cannot hear, it doesn't mean we cannot talk. Those crazy years of fighting are now long gone, and I hope you'll sing to me once more. The things
Welcome to the Enabling Festival 2020. I'm Guan, your festival host this year. Now, due to the present pandemic situation, the Enabling Festival 2020 will be traveling into your home. Now, the festival aims to explore, challenge, and shape perceptions and understanding of dementia and caregiving through technology and the creative arts. Now, this year, we will focus on the sense of sight with the theme, Do You See What I See? We have curated many exciting programs for you this year, so please visit us at this website below to see what we have to offer. Now, please enjoy the upcoming program.
This is Daniel here, and welcome to the Enabling Festival. Today we have our friend here, Lim Kim Pong, right here with us to do a little program called Own Your Conversation, right, Kim Pong? So take it away, Kim Pong.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. Hello, everybody. My name is Kim Pong, and just a real quick introduction of myself. I work for a company called StrengthsASIA, and one of the things that we do at StrengthsASIA is really about focusing on helping people like you and me build a culture of engagement in our lives, in our work here, right? So in other words, what we mean is, how do we get you and I to be more energized and to be more satisfied in what we are doing? How do we get ourselves to be more influential and impactful in our work and in our relationships with one another? And the interesting thing here is this, right? I mean, when Daniel came to me about a couple of months ago, and I said, hey, Kim Pong, by the way, he's Lim, I'm Lim, and both of us are Lims. We are brothers, but we are all from different mothers and fathers here. So no relationship here, right? In terms of that, but other than that, really, really good friends. So when Dan came to me a couple of months ago and said, hey, Kim Pong, I would like you to come on board the Enabling Asia, festival here. And take a segment here and talk about this topic called just talk about whatever topic that's on your heart here, right? And I honestly told Daniel, I said, hey Dan, to be honest, I don't have really any close family members who actually has dementia. I know a little bit about dementia, but other than that, I know next to nothing about dementia. I don't think I'm very qualified to be on this platform here sharing with with all of you caregivers out there who's doing a really, really tough job, knowing what the job entails, right? And then basically say, no, Pong, no, don't worry about it. I really don't want you to talk anything about dementia. I think we're already doing a lot of work, equipping the caregivers to know how to care for those people that they love. But you're the guy that's doing a lot of engagement work here, right? Helping people to be a better version of themselves here. Can you share something on sound wave, right? That will actually be a blessing or be something that will be really, really good in taking care of the caregivers themselves, right? Then he told me a little bit about the mantra of enabling Asia. It's about taking care of the mind, body, and soul here. It's not just about what you can do with your hands, but it's also taking care of the caregiver. And it's interesting, right? The topic I'm going to be sharing today is this topic called sound wave. Now, a number of you may not have actually heard about it. And sound wave actually got nothing to do with sight. But yet this year's topic is all about sight, right? Do you see what I see? And what is interesting is this, right? Everything about sound wave is really about the conversations that we have with our loved ones, the conversations that we have with the people at work, the conversations that we have in our community, the conversations that we have with people around us here. And you and I know this, right? When we are going to have great conversations with each other, we are going to be able to see the quality of relationships in our lives. We're going to be able to see the effects, the positive, the impacts, the influence in the things that we do together in our lives here. So I think whatever we are talking about this afternoon is going to be super relevant to you. And I'm going to ask you, to keep an open mind here, because today is not about the people that you are caring for. Today is really about you who are doing all the caring here. And really, as you care for other people, I'm going to ask you to set aside some time right now, and be open, to consider what I have to share with you, so that this is something that you possibly could use to care for yourself here. So let us start. I'm going to be like, switching on and off, between my PowerPoints and this live version here, right? So let's start with a couple of things here. Now I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Now I know that we have about 18 people in the room here, so I'm not going to ask you to turn on your videos and talk to me. That's going to be a chaos here, right? I'm going to ask you, to use 3 words, right? What are 3 words that would best describe you, right? What are 3 words that you most resonate with, that when you share these 3 words with people, they actually will describe you? So let me share with you my 3 words, right? The 3 words that best describe Lim Kim Pong is number 1, passion, number 2, cats, number 3, it is pork lard, right? Believe it or not. So it's passion, cats, and pork lard. These are the 3 words here. So right now, what I really, really love you to do, right, is to use the chat box at the bottom of the screen here. Go down, click on the chat box, and can you just type in 3 words that best describe yourself right now? So go ahead. Let's take a minute or so just to get you guys to come on board. Go to the chat box and type in 3 words that best describe, you, so that I can know who I'm talking to. Right? Let's go. So I'm just waiting for you guys to be very good. Danny, generous, artistic, passionate. I love this. Thank you very much. Keep it coming, guys. 3 words that best describe you. From Joy, foodie, explorer, resourceful. I loved it. From Joanne, hopeful, cheerful, matcha. I get that, right? Keep it coming, everybody. Knowledge, skills, and attitude from Janet. Fantastic. What else? Keep it coming. We have about a minute to do this, right? And from Daniel Lim, patience, love, and kindness. You're a saint, Daniel. From Ian, empathy, happiness, compassionate. I love that. Keep it coming. I got a good feeling that I am actually talking to a bunch of really, really nice people here. Optimistic people, idealistic. I loved it. Keep it coming. Yeah. All right. Let's take a few more seconds. They're all together 18 of us. I think I probably got about 10 so far. So let's keep the rest coming here. 3 words that best describe you, right? Now you may never really thought about all these things before, but today give it some thought. What are 3 words that best describe you? All right, let's take another 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From CS, random, yoga, K-pop. My gosh, you are happening here. So 3 words that best describe you, right? So my 3 words, ladies and gentlemen, is passion, it is cats, and it's pork lard. Now let me explain to you what that means, right? So that you can get a little bit of understanding of who this guy is talking to you. So number 1, passion. I'm a guy who's really, really passionate, and the people that knows me, friends who knows me, I am hardly anyone who does anything with no passion. I'm either all in or all out here, and a lot of what I do is very anchored on the values that I stand for, on the principles that I believe in, and on the things that I really want to bring into the world to change the world around me. So that's passion, right? So I must apologize if sometimes I come across to you as a little bit intense here, right? So that's passion. The second word is cats. Now, why cats? It's really interesting because about 7 years ago, I belong to the category whereby I'm just a dog-loving person, and I do not like cats because I'm just terrified of them. But 7 years ago, my daughter brought home back a little baby kitten, and I tell you, when I saw that little baby kitten and how playful it was, I don't know what happened to me. I was captivated by that little creature, and I just fell in love with it. And today, to be honest, I don't just have 1 cat, I have 3 cats, right? I have Mumu, I have Magu, and I have Cat, 3 cats. They're all grown up right now. And why is this important? How does this describe me? Well, it showed me something about Kim Pong, that very often I can be very close-minded to certain things. For those things I fear, for those things that I'm not aware of, for those things that I'm afraid of, right? I kind of close my mind to it. But these little creatures here, the cats, has taught me something. that sometimes the things I fear, maybe the things I probably love most, or probably the things that I do need in my life here. So these cats have really taught me to be a bit more open-minded, to really experiment, test, experience, visualize before I say no to all these things here. So that's cats for you. The third word for me, ladies and gentlemen, is pork lard. Now, I apologize to those of you who are Muslims who might be offended by my love of pork lard here. But hey, you know, I eat pork, right? Now, pork lard is probably something not exactly very healthy. But the thing about pork lard is this, it is extremely flavorful. So for me, I belong to a camp whereby, you know, I do not like to waste calories. In other words, I don't like to eat things that are just bland or just, you know, just because it's dry. But I want to eat things that are flavorful, that's really loaded with flavor here. And I guess this is how I live my life, ladies and gentlemen. It is like, you know, Kim Pong wants to live life to the fullest. I do not want to live life half measure, but I want to live life, you know, to the very extent, in the way God made me, in the way nature made me, in the way, you know, I've been birthed and I've been born here, right? So there's three words: passion, cats, and pork lard here. So today I'm going to spend some time just sharing with you this idea called sound wave. Now, you may not be very familiar with it, and that's fine, but hopefully by the end of my sharing, which is going to take maybe about 30 minutes here, you know, you'll be a little bit more familiar with this. And after we are done with this, you know, I'm really open, you know, for any Q&A, if there should be any insights, any questions that you want to ask me more of, right? So for now, let us start. Now, as we start, you know, I'm going to ask you some questions here, and I'm going to ask you to use the chat box to respond to me on this, right? So let's get going here. So the first part of this conversation here is, do you know, right? So it's a question, answer the questions here. So, you know, do you know that when you're in conversations with people, you interrupt people when they are talking? Yes or no, right? That's the answer I'm looking for. So go ahead and use the chat box and tell me, you know, do you interrupt people when they are talking? Yes or no? So James says yes, Daniel says yes, Zoan says yes, Carolyn says yes, Noel says yes. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing, right? So a lot of yeses here. So you interrupt people when they're talking. Let me give you the second one here. I think about what I want to say, then I wait for the chance to say it, right? So do you do that? Yes or no? You think about what you want to say when you're talking to people, and you wait for the chance to say it, and you say it, right? Danny says, I listen first. Daisy says, yeah, I do that. What else? Keep it coming, everybody. Zoan says, yes. Who else? Keep it coming. Do you do that? All right, let's go to the next one here then. My mind wanders and I ask people to repeat what they have just said. Yes or no? My mind wanders and I ask people to repeat what they have just said. Yes or no? Keep it coming. Yep. Joy K says yes. CS says no. Very focused. Carolyn says yes. Who else? Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Karen says no. Anyone else? Zoan says, yeah. So there's a mixture of answers, right? Yes and no. Let's keep coming. I send text messages to people and tell them that I'm actually listening to them while they're talking to me. Yes or no? Sometimes. Okay. What else? No. From CS. All right. Who else? Anybody else? I send text messages while talking and tell people that I am listening to them. Haha. No. Can't multitask. I'm totally guilty of this, guys. Zoan say, nope. Awesome. Let's keep going. Do you like the sound of your own recorded voice when you heard it for the very first time? Do you like the sound of your own recorded voice when you heard it for the very first time? I'm saying no, 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 not bad, love it, no. Most of them are no, isn't it? And it's true, right? A lot of people actually answer no to this question. The reason is really simple. We've been talking all our lives, but we never really have heard ourselves talking. So imagine, right, if you don't like the sound of your voice, imagine how do you know, or how much do you know how you talk to people every day. You may think you're talking one way, but exactly when you listen to yourselves, how in fact are you really talking? Let's go to the next one. Do you listen to reply, or do you listen to understand? Do you listen to reply, or do you listen to understand? So the answer I'm looking for is to reply or understand, right? Listen to reply from James. What else? So I'm just going to pause and wait. You know, CS says it's both. Yen says to understand. Danny says understand first, then reply. So a lot of you actually have understanding, right, in this question here. Stephen Covey, the guy who wrote The 7 Habits of Successful People, and he noted that most people actually listen to reply. Most people do not listen to understand, okay? Let's go to the next one. How many words do you think you can hear per minute? How many words do you think you can hear per minute? So I'm looking for a number here. How many words do you think you can hear per minute? Daniel Lim says it's 25 words per minute. What about the rest? Okay, I'm waiting for the rest. 40 from Karen, 35 from James, Joy K, 50, question mark? Yeah. CS says it's 100. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is 125. Now, let me ask you another question. How many words do you think your brain can process per minute? So if you can hear 125 words per minute, how many words can your brain process per minute? So Daniel Lim says 20. What about the rest? Karen Yo says 300. Amazing. James says 25. Joyce says 30. Carolyn says 40. The answer is actually 500 words here. So you can hear 125 words per minute, but your brain can process 500. And the differential between 500 and 25 is what we call the listening gap here. That is the reason many of us actually finds it difficult to listen to people, because you have this excess capacity called the listening gap here. People are actually talking too slowly for our brain to process. And if we do not know what to do with this listening gap, we are constantly being distracted by other things, and we are filling this gap with other things, and we are actually not listening to people. In other words, if you know how to master the listening gap here, you actually will be a better communicator, a better listener in the conversations you have with your loved ones or with the people around you. Let's go to the next question. What is one of the greatest barriers to listening to what people is saying? So from your own personal experience, what do you think is the greatest barrier to listening to what people is saying? So go ahead and share with us your answers again on the chat box. What do you think that is? So from Karen, it says, does listening gap apply to one-to-one conversation? No, it applies to everybody here. It applies to one-to-one, it applies to one-to-many. The fact that if it's one-to-one, I think it's even more challenging, because that is the only focus right in front of you. All right. What is one of the greatest barriers to listening to what people are saying? I got from Joy K say lack of focus, distractions in the environment. Absolutely. CS says lack of clarity, interest, short attention span. Karen says distractions. Caroline says self-absorbed. Well, one of the number one, barriers to preventing people from listening well, essentially is preconceived notions. It is basically your experience in life. It is your previous decisions in certain things. It is your values. It is your biases, right, that you bring to a conversation, and they act as a filter. So whatever people are talking to you, it actually goes through the filter, and because of that, very often you are actually editing what people are saying, and you're not really listening to what people are truly trying to communicate to you. So preconceived notions is one of the biggest things that stands in our way here. Next question. Who do you think you talk more, right? Men or women? Do men talk more, or does women talk more than men here? So I'm looking for women or men as the answer. Go for it. Karen says women. Noel says women. Who else? Zoanne says women. So we so far got 3 women, depend on the situation from Joy. So Carolyn says women, CS is women, Janet is women. All right, so the answer, ladies and gentlemen, it is neither. It's neither men nor women. But the research have shown that in certain contextual situations, women do tend to talk more than men, and men do tend to talk more than women. So for example, if women are in a smaller grouping, they tend to talk more than men. And if men are in a bigger grouping, they tend to talk more than women. All right. So next question. How many words do you think you speak per day? Right? In any single day, what is the average number of words do you think you speak a day? So go ahead and share with me your answers. So I'm looking for a number here. 30,000. Goodness, Daniel Lim, you must be talking a lot, right? 10,000 from Karen Yo. What else? What else is there? Let's keep going with that. Work from home effect, less than 200. Interesting. James Jordan Tay says 5,000. And my goodness, 450,000 from Joy K. I would love to hear you talk, Joy. The actual answer, ladies and gentlemen, is 16,000 words. Now, that is a lot of words to be on, right? 16,000 words a day. And the first time when I actually realized that it is 16,000 words, a thought came to me. Now, there's so many words that we use every day. How can we actually, learn how not to waste words, but at the same time, increase the influence of our words? Now, if you had noticed, right, all those different slides and questions that I was asking you, it's all got to do with the way, we talk. Now, talk is really at the center of everything that we do. Talk is really at the core of everything that we do. Talk essentially is what makes us uniquely human. If you look at all the animals and all the living things in the world here, human beings are the only one that can truly talk. Many animals can communicate with one another, but we can truly talk because of the words that we use. Words makes our communication uniquely human. I love what Confucius said, right? And he said this, words are the voice of the heart. Now, when you hear somebody talking to you, and especially if this person is new to you, it's the first time like what I am to you right now, as you listen to my voice, as you listen to my words, as you listen to the mannerism, my intonation, my loudness, my softness, my gentleness, my brashness, of my voice, you can pretty much size me up, categorize me, stereotype me, and kind of figure out, what kind of person you think I am, right? And either that kind of pushes you away, or either that draws me to you, and maybe, that may motivate you to want to work with me, or want to relate better, or not relate with me at all. Words are the voice of the heart here. And the words that we use has a profound impact, on the people around us. It has major influence on people around us. So we use a lot of words every day, ladies and gentlemen, and the words that we use matter. But actually, it is how we say it that matters a whole lot more, isn't it? Words matter, but how we say it matters a whole lot more. I just want to share with you a really quick story, right? Just a couple of Sundays ago, I went for dinner with my beautiful wife, and that day was a beautiful evening, and both of us were in really, really good spirits, and both of us were going to, for lobster porridge, which is something that we really, really like to have once in a while, right? And as I was driving to the restaurant, somehow I just messed it up and I lost my way getting there. And I was really frustrated with myself. My wife, as cool as a cucumber, she took out her phone and, she just Googled the place, and she said, hey, honey, no worries, we're not that lost. The place is just right across the road here. And then without thinking, right, I replied this to her. I said something like, okay, let me just call the restaurant and get the accurate directions here. And all of a sudden, I felt this chill, right? This sudden coldness from my wife. I look at her, suddenly her face changed, her demeanor just changed, right? Now, and then I asked her, I said, hey, honey, are you okay? Suddenly you look like you're not well, right? And she said, no, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm all right. But no matter what she say, whether she's okay or she's all right, I know, right? That is a chill, right? Something has changed here. And I was just asking myself, my gosh, what happened, right? As an afterthought, when everything was over, I told myself, what happened, Kim Pong? And basically what happened was this. I literally ignored my wife, right? I mean, here she is, she Googled the place and she's telling me, Pong, we're not that lost, it's just across the road. And what did I tell her? I say, oh, let me call the restaurant and get, more directions here. Of course she felt rejected. Of course she felt, ignored, by her offer to help me, right? But the tragedy of this story is this, I actually did not have the intention to ignore her. When I told her that, look, I want to call the restaurant to get better directions, what I wanted to do was to make sure that I don't get lost again, so that I don't disappoint my wife. But it doesn't matter what my intentions were, right? People cannot help how they feel when they heard what they heard. The fact is this, the intention of my talk, was not understood by my wife, but the emotional aspect of my talk, the intensity was intensely felt by her. The whole idea here is this, right? Words matter, but it is actually how we say it that matters a whole lot more. I saw this I heard this on Netflix, right, in one of the TV series called Outlander, and the character says these words are like bullets. Once fired, you cannot take them back. They have impact, aim your words carefully. When I first saw this, I said, my gosh, this is so true, right? I mean, when you shoot a bullet, you cannot retrieve the bullet. The bullet either will hit the mark, miss the mark, or destroy the target. So our words are like bullets, right? The words that we use to our loved ones, the words that we use to, our friends around us, the words that we use to our people, in our workplaces here. It doesn't matter whether we intended it or not, but how we land those words matters a lot, because once it is out, we cannot retrieve it. So in other words, the way we talk, ladies and gentlemen, it has a profound way in affecting how people think, how people feel, how people behave around us, including our loved ones, with dementia. It doesn't matter, because every one of us have feelings here. The way we talk affects how people think, feel, and behave. So, when the way you talk, how are you talking? Do you get people to think reflectively, or are you getting people to think defensively? Or what about feelings? Do you get people to feel connected to you, or do you get people to feel overwhelmed, by what you're saying? Or in terms of behavior, do you get people to behave alert or act alert, or maybe sometimes even being very relaxed in front of you? Or do you get them to be super tense every time you talk, or maybe on the other opposite, to be super bored, with the conversations, with you? The way we talk essentially affect how people think, how people feel, and how people behave here. And everything that we do, it's really revolving around talk. Everything that we do in our lives, it's about conversation. If you think about it, leadership, right, is conversation. The leadership in your homes, the leadership in your offices, the leadership in your community, it is conversation. Relationship is conversation. Our culture is conversation. Now think about it, right? If you work with a leader in an organization, and if you have great conversations with that guy, or with that man or woman, you would probably think, or you probably would experience him or her as a good leader, a leader that communicates their ideas well. In terms of relationships here, the people that you don't relate very well with, it is also quite likely that your conversations with those people are not that good. If you think in terms of a culture, whether it's a family culture, right? You think of just, let's talk about family, right? In a family culture, a family culture that doesn't talk to one another, or do not know how to talk to one another, or maybe not willing, to engage each other in talking, or just conversing with each other, how good is that culture? I don't think it's that hot, right? So the whole idea here is this, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we do is about conversation. And if we get our conversations right, amazing things do happen between people, when the quality of our conversations is good. When you have great conversations with people that you relate with, when you have great conversation with people that are leading you, when you have great conversations with people at your workplace, amazing things do happen between all of us here. Now, I love what Abraham Lincoln said, right? And he said something like, I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. This is a really magnanimous man. The first time when I read, by the way, the guy that showed me this quote is none other than my brother from my different mother here, Daniel Lim. He was the one. No, it wasn't Daniel Lim. It was another brother. I'm sorry. It's Alex, actually. Apologize. Yeah. So anyway, I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. Now, a lot of us, when we don't like people, right, what do? We stay away from them, right? We don't talk to them. And the less you talk to them, the less you like them, and the less you have interaction with them. It was Isaac Rabin, the former Prime Minister of Israel, that said, we make peace with our enemies, right? We don't make peace with our friends here. Let me show you another slide here. And this one is from Margaret Ridley, and she says, be brave to start a conversation that matters. And this is really, really powerful, right? Be brave to start a conversation that matters. Now, this is the part where I'm actually in waters that I'm not familiar with. I must confess that I have very little experience in talking with people who has dementia, and I'm not sure how easy or how difficult is that conversation. But if you feel that that there is a struggle in there, I'm gonna encourage you a little bit here. Be brave to start a conversation that matters, because if it's worth it, go try it, because it is possible. I believe that. Conversation is everything that we do. Now, conversation is also not about agreeing more with each other. It is also not about disagreeing less with one another. But conversation is really learning, how we can actually disagree, better with one another, how we can disagree more productively better together. You know, this is something that I'm gonna speak to you from my heart to yours, ladies and gentlemen. Very often, I think your role as a caregiver is already a very stressful role, right? But how can you improve the quality of your life here? Well, you improve the quality of your life, in a life that is within the space of caring and also outside of the space of caring. And one of the things that, if you have not thought about this, is really to learn how to have great conversations with people all around you. Because every time when you do that, something happens in your relationship with them, and life actually becomes a lot more fruitful, a lot more brighter, a lot more worth the living here. And very often it is about the perception in our brains here, whether are we agreeing more or disagreeing less, right? That's a common common culture or common understanding that when we talk to people, we want people to agree the same as us, or we want people to disagree the same as us. But I'll tell you the truth here. I've done so much work with so many different people of different levels, throughout Asia. There's no way you and I can agree on the same thing 100% or disagree on the same thing 100%, right? There's no such thing as a common reality, but there is really what we have, a shared reality. Now, so the whole idea is this, ladies and gentlemen, if we stop trying to get people to agree more or disagree, life is going to be a whole lot better. And the ability to have great conversations will allow you to do that, to allow you not necessarily to agree more or disagree less, but to help you learn how to disagree productively better. So this is where I want to introduce to you, Soundwave. Now, Soundwave is a company that's really helping people all around the world to know how to have great conversations, with people, so that they can build great relationships with people that they love, people that they work. And Soundwave found out that our talk is varied, and there are three different ways in which we can talk. We can either ask, or we can either suggest, or we can either tell. So if we are able to ask skillfully, right? We are able to ask great questions skillfully. Oh, so sorry. Let me just go back again. I apologize. I do not know why nowadays my system keeps crashing on me. So let me just go back into this here where we... Boom, let's go. All right. So if we are skillfully here, right, then people begin to think about the possibilities. People begin to feel engaged. People begin to act in line, right, with with their own thinking here. Now, if we are able to suggest skillfully, then you enable people to think a little bit more broader, right? You get people to feel involved with your conversation, and you get people to participate with you here. And if you get, if you are able to tell skillfully, then others begin to think with clarity, others begins to feel, respected, and others begin to act in line with our expectations. So there are three ways, right? The way we ask, suggest, and tell. Now, and within asking, right, we ask to explore conversations with our loved ones. We ask to explore, to understand what's going on with people around us. And there are three different kind of voices that we can use to ask. Number one, we can inquire. Number two, we can probe. And number three, we can diagnose. Then what about suggest? When you suggest, you're actually suggesting for influence. You're trying to influence people to make decisions, to change their mind, to take a different perspective, right? And there are three different voices that allows us to suggest, to articulate, to advise, or the voice of advocate. And the last one is to tell. When you tell skillfully, you're actually shaping the conversation. You're shaping the outcome. You're shaping the culture. And there are three different voices that we can use to shape, the surroundings, the people that we are talking to. It is to critique, it is to correct, or it is to challenge the conversation. So if you think about it, we actually have three different verbal ways of talking: ask, suggest, and tell. And we actually have 9 different voices: probe, inquire, diagnose, articulate, advocate, advise, challenge, correct, or critique. Now, every one of us, have all these 9 voices, but some of the voices that we have are more pronounced than us. So, if you do a report within Soundwave, right, you actually are able to surface for you your top 3, most preferred voices. These are the 3 voices, that are your default voices. They are your habitual voices. They are the voices that you go to more often than not when you're talking to people. It doesn't matter who they are. It could be your loved ones. It could be your mom, your dad. It could be your leaders in your organizations. It could be your peers here. So for example, right, out of these 9 voices, maybe your top 3 voices, could be inquire, challenge, or critique. Or it could be advise, probe, or diagnose. Or it could be advocate, inquire, or probe here. So all these 3 different voices are what we call our preferred and habitual voices. These are your go-to voices. You don't really think about it, right? You just talk. Now, a lot of us, when we talk, you kind of know that everybody got our own pattern, right? So if you close your eyes and you just imagine, some people that you kind of know, pretty much how they are going to talk to you. Some actually will talk to you very much in a very, loving, gentle way. Some could be very brash. Some could be constantly correcting you. Some could be constantly challenging you. Some could be, really always, advocating for something that they believe in, isn't it? So every one of us, got our habitual way of talking. It is our preferred way of expression here. And how we talk let other people experience us. Now, this is the really interesting part here. Most people actually do not know how they talk. So sometimes we are actually quite surprised. How come people think of us in a certain way when we actually do not think of us that way? Doesn't make sense. It's just like, when I told my wife that, hey, I want to call the restaurant for more directions, I don't mean to ignore her, but my wife perceived me to be ignoring her, even though that's not my intention. But it doesn't matter, isn't it? People can't help what they feel. They can't help what they have heard. They just feel what they have experienced from you. And this is why it is so important that you and I got to be more aware on how we talk. So even the way you talk, to your loved ones with dementia, how are you talking to them? It is quite likely that you're probably using your habitual voice to talk to them without thinking. But actually, can you change the way we talk? Well, if you think about it, right, to inquire, we can, if we inquire skillfully, right? So before I go on to answer the question, can we change? Let me just go into this piece here about all the different voices here. So if you inquire skillfully, you actually will be engaging people here. But let's imagine, right, you do not know that you're actually using the inquiry voice here, right? And very often that's your default voice. And because it's a default voice, sometimes there's a chance that you may overuse that voice. And when you overuse inquiry voice here, it becomes an interrogation. You begin to interrogate people. Have you done this? Have you done that? How come this thing is left around, right? You're just interrogating people here. Now, the voice of challenge is a powerful voice. When you use the voice of challenge skillfully, you actually get people to change positively here. But let's say you're not aware that that's your natural voice or that's your preferred habitual voice. Now what happens? Essentially, that challenge is no longer for change. It is an attack. You're constantly attacking people's viewpoints. You're constantly attacking people's decisions here. What about another voice, right? Advocate. When you advocate skillfully, it is really to impact the community, the organizations, or people's lives, right? Because you're advocating for something good in them. But let's say again, right, you're not aware that you're advocating and you're overusing that. That advocate can become very, very preachy. People begin to find you extremely long-winded. They begin to find you extremely lost-saw. It's like, gosh, can you stop it? You're like a broken record playing this over and over and over again. So our talk, is preferred, it is habitual, and we are very fixated on how we talk every day. But just because our talk is fixated, it does not mean that our talk is fixed. Our talk is not fixed. Instead, our talk is extremely fluid. We can actually change the way we talk. We can actually move away from our habitual way of talking and use all the other different voices to communicate with our loved ones and people around us. You can actually train yourself to be talking differently. And the power of that is really simple. If you know how to use the right voice in the right place with the right people in the right time, you will know how to shift the dialogue when the dialogue is not going so well. You will know how to change the conversations when you need to, so that eventually you can shape the culture, you can shape the outcome, you can shape, the impact that you're trying to do with that person. Amazing things do happen between people when the quality of the conversations is good. Now, as I think about this whole thing here, right? I was asking myself a simple question, like, hey, how does this whole sound wave voices apply to, people, with dementia? I've never done this, to be honest, with people, that has dementia. I've never used my voice with people, with dementia. So I am on a really, on blue waters here, right? I have no idea, what could happen. So what I did was this: I talked to Daniel. Now Daniel is a little bit familiar, with these 9 voices here, because I've walked him through regarding his sound wave, so he's familiar with his own sound wave. And I asked him, Dan, hey, tell me a little bit, right? How would you use these 9 voices with your daddy, right? And all of you would know that Peter Lim and Dan's father, has dementia. And Dan came back, with a powerful story, which I told myself it would be a shame if I was just to quote him, right, the way he said it. So I've created a little video to kind of showcase this a little bit. So I'm gonna let the pictures and the words speak for itself. As I play the slides, read the words. In every slide, there will be one voice, right? And altogether, there are altogether about 9 slides representing the 9 voices. So. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, what Daniel did. And when I looked at what he did, I was just astounded by it because, we truly can use all these 9 voices to talk to our loved ones who actually has dementia. But this talk really is for you. Every time you are able to talk well, the quality of the relationships with the people that you have, they will also become better. You'll become amazing here. So we want to make this available to all of you out there. Daniel and I, he asked me, Pong, can StrengthsASIA, my company, do something for Enable Asia, so that we can get our caregivers to know their own voices. They can learn a little bit about their voices, so that they can know how to use their voices, with their loved ones and with the people around them. And I said, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So typically, you can do you can find out your voices by doing the Sound Wave Brilliance 3, right? So it's called the Brilliance 3 report, and it costs about, Singapore $40 thereabouts. But I told Daniel, let's do one step better. If people wants to do the Brilliance 3, what I'll do together with my colleagues here is that, we'll get you to come and join us for a half-day workshop for free. I personally will lead the workshop with you guys here, and to help you to know your voice if you actually do your own Brilliance 3 here. Now, let me just give you a little bit on the background here. Typically, when we run a half-day workshop, it costs about $300 per person. But in this instance here, I told Daniel, we're not going to charge $300. We're just going to charge it for the price of the Brilliance 3, which is about $40 here. So go ahead, if you're interested, sign up with us. Or sign up with Enable Asia, I'm sorry, right? And then, when you're ready, we'll start the class. So here is the QR code I'm going to show to you. Let me just put up the QR code so that you can know how to do this. So here's the QR code. Go ahead, and use your camera or take a picture or screenshot this thing here, and it will lead you to a lead page that will give you more details of the workshop. At the same time, it will enable you to contact us or sign up, for the workshop itself or to get the B3 assessment yourself. So while we're waiting for the questions here, then maybe I'll just engage Daniel here for a sec here, right? So Dan, can I just tap into your brains a little bit? So when I text you a couple of days ago and say, hey Dan, how would you use the 9 voices, with your father? Um, how easy was that, or how difficult was that?
So actually, it was very difficult for me to frame it in the perspective of a caregiver having a conversation with my father, a person with dementia, for the last 11 years. But what I realized was what I could do was actually to bring up bring light to some of these voices and saying that, hey, maybe I don't use that so often to try and challenge daddy or to correct him because I fear that, maybe that's not the right voice for me to use. But because of that, I'm very conscious about how I use my challenge and my correct voice for daddy. So that's why I say, hey, if I could encourage him in a different way by challenging him to take one step forward, like little baby steps at a time, then I'm trying to achieve something because I actually put out a challenge for him to pick it up, and not say, I'm saying daddy's wrong, it's not right, it's not going well, and all that kind of stuff. I didn't choose to go that direction, but that way the challenge became a positive one, and he says, yeah, actually I can do it. I can do one more step today. I can do another step tomorrow. Even if it's lifting his fingers or to actually clench his fist. Can he do it twice a day? Can he do it 3 times a day? Can he do it 4 times a day? I always push him a little bit more so that he can do more each time. And that's success for me. That's how success looks like. And I realized that using this voice works for me.
There's one particular voice that when I saw it, I was actually quite.
The music is up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me just. So now the music decided to come up. Just now it didn't want to come up. It's like, cannot take it. All right, just give me a second here. Let me just turn off the music really quickly here. I know what to do with this. Boom. Okay. So this one here, right? So this is the articulate voice. I hear you. I understand that you prefer to have chicken rice over fish soup here. Share with us a little bit of the background here. When I read that, I was just smiling to myself. Hey, this is really, really cool.
Yeah. So I have a lot of difficulty helping daddy to make a decision on what food to choose. So I actually use a food menu to let him do that. But I wanted, the most important thing is actually I wanted to affirm my dad's decision, and I wanted to make him feel he's involved in making that decision of what food to have for a meal, even though we have fish soup 3 times a day. But if he tells me he wants to have chicken rice, I will read back to him and say, Daddy, I really hear you. I know you are tired of having fish soup, right? And let's make you have chicken rice today, rather than I administer what I think is right. Every day I say that, hey, you know what? I will just go to the market and buy fish soup for my dad because I think that's good for him. So sometimes I feel that we will be very pushy and preachy about what we do.
Yeah.
And instead of using articulate, we are saying that, hey, this is best for you, this is best for you, this is best for you.
That's right.
The music's up again.
Oh my gosh, what's going on? Mute. Okay, done. Yes.
Yeah. So that way, right, I felt that, instead of using the very preachy side of it in terms of saying fish soup every day because it's good for you, it's healthier choice and all that kind of stuff, I said, I involve him in that decision making. So I realized that makes him happy, and that makes me even happier.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, Daniel. You know why? Because it is about not assuming that we know everything. It is not that just because I am more able-bodied than you or able-minded than you are, therefore I'm going to make all the decisions for you, right? But I think when you use, for example, articulate voice and say, hey, I see that you're using chicken rice, maybe it's fish soup, that kind of puts a power back into your father's side. Now, my favorite, I'll do one more and then we'll end for this, right? My favorite response from you is actually this one over here, right? And this is the correct voice. Papa, when we go out, I need you to hold my hand. I really, really love that. Can you just share a little bit on the background to this?
So I had issues trying to get Dad to cross the road, right? And then he will go wander zigzag left, right, all over the place, right? So instead of getting to the destination where you want to go in like maybe 10 minutes, we will probably take 20 minutes to get there because he wants to see everything else and anything else and decides that he's got his own way, his own route. So I'll go in the form of like say, hey, Papa, I'm quite scared when we go out, so why don't you hold my hand? And it's simple. The instruction is very simple. It says, go out, hold my hand, and then I can
gently guide him, and we can walk on a guided tour instead of him wandering around and he wanders and then I follow, or where I lead and then he doesn't follow. So we go into conflicts because of that. I says, why are you not following me? And that's a different correct voice that I thought. So I realized, hey, it could be a better way of doing this. So let's go with, hold my hand, and then I can guide you along.
Yeah.
And then you can guide, and then we have a better relationship, because I think the other element of it is touch. That's important as well, because with our loved ones, I think touch is really quite important. But with the voice, I think it amplifies the ability for us to still negotiate a conversation that won't end up two of us calling each other. He says that he wants to go his way, I want to go my way. So I let Daddy play out his alpha male and say that, look, Daddy, I'm the one that's scared. But, I slowly nudge you this way as we talk, I distract him, and then he goes along to where I want to go anyway. So that it works.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think that the ability for us to know what we are talking, the words that we are using, the voice that we want to use, does give us control, right? To be able to land the intended effect or impact in the conversations or in the outcomes that we want. So thanks, Daniel, very much. As I look at the chat box, there isn't any questions at all. So I guess I must have been succinctly really, really clear about what I'm doing here. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for today and for this opportunity to be able to share with you. And back to you, Daniel. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Daniel.
I'm Danny.
And we are the co-founders of the Enabling Festival 2020.
Yeah, the Enabling Festival is in its third year now, and it certainly has been a long but rewarding journey.
At this note, we hope you can support us by pledging $1 or more to the Enabling Festival 2020. We've got this link right down below here.
Yeah, this pledge will enable the festival to further the cause and implement more initiatives for a collective impact which has societal benefits for the dementia community and caregivers.
Dementia is a very real issue that could happen to you and me. We sincerely appeal to you to walk this journey with us.
So come and participate in the various programs that we have lined up for you, and we hope to see you online at the Enabling Festival 2020. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our program. We hope you can help us to fill in a simple survey using the QR code provided at the end of the program. Now, this will help us to improve as well as to fulfill our funding requirements from our various funders. Please help. Now, if you have any questions or if you wish to find out more about the Enabling Festival 2020, please visit our Facebook page, Instagram, and website to see what we have lined up for you. Drop us a message on any of the social media platforms. You can also write to enablingfestival@gmail.com, and our colleagues will reply to you as soon as they can. Take care and stay safe.
When we cannot see, doesn't mean we'll get lost. When we cannot hear, it doesn't mean we cannot talk.